because we're into this story from antiwar.com, and it's absolutely outrageous. The U.S. Supreme Court has basically backed up a lower court's decision that says that torture and religious humiliation are permissible tools for a government to use. And it goes on. Yeah, it goes on to say that the government officials are immune from lawsuit because of the torture that they performed on people, because the court didn't know at the time whether or not it was illegal or not. They hadn't made any decisions, so therefore, while the court was unsure, those guys can get away with anything they want to.
Are we simply in some sort of strange bubble, Ian, where we breathe some different atmosphere than so many of the people in the pop media circles?
Yeah, we breathe freedom.
Yeah, what you're saying should be so frightening to people and so electrifying to them that they should sit there and say, what are we going to do? I would recommend they come to New Hampshire.
Well, yes, that's a great solution. But apparently this went by without anybody really taking notice in the mainstream media.
It's amazing. And all these people who are in the pop media, who are always, riding George Bush's back and so on, they give Obama a slide on the very same activity. Donald Rumsfeld was seen as an evil, evil guy. Well, yes. Hey, all you left-wingers out there, guess who was backing Donald Rumsfeld? Obama's Justice Department.
It's the same crew, man. It's all the same people. Even if the names change, they're doing the same exact thing.
They're doing it to people, by the way, who were eventually released and repatriated back to England and have not gotten in any trouble. The people who brought this lawsuit, it says here, the British detainees spent more than 2 years in Guantanamo and were repatriated to Britain in 2004. Oh, gee, that was almost 6 years ago, with no charges ever having been filed against them. 2 years of their lives taken away. Oh, but you see, they were evil from the outset. Well, gee, that's what the criminal trial is supposed to be about. And if you don't have evidence against them, you're supposed to let people go. That was the whole point.
Not going to happen. And that was a story that we did share recently, that did make the media, that they were going to be moving the Guantanamo detainees to a facility in Illinois.
Right.
And there was statements made to the effect of, well, these will be taken care of with military tribunals, right?
Yeah, Obama was the one who said that they weren't going to do that. Remember? He was the one who said, no, this isn't right. This isn't right. There was a Supreme Court precedent in the Hamdan case a few years ago. There was the Hamdi case and there was the Hamdan case. Both of those Supreme Court precedents, even though Antonin Scalia had said that he would never, ever vote for these guys to get habeas corpus trials, he said, I'll be damned. This is a quote. I'll be damned before I give them the right to habeas corpus, because he's got a son in the Marines.
Nice.
Who's out on the so-called war. If Antonin Scalia can't recognize that the United States government hasn't declared war and that his son is operating in an unconstitutional, illegal fashion based on his own dictates, and he's there ruling on the highest court of the land's opinions, we've got a real problem.
Oh, we've had a problem.
Right. So the Hamdan case, they already ruled. This goes contrary to one of their previous rulings. They already ruled that they can have habeas corpus hearings.
Well, isn't that kind of the fun of having different rulings? I mean, because then the government can essentially it can cite whatever ruling it wants to. Well, they've ruled about this in the past, so therefore this is case law. Well, the other ruling says different. Oh, well, don't worry about that. We're only citing this one ruling. They can just do whatever the hell they want to do, and they're admitting it. I mean, that's what's kind of changing here, it seems, is that the information travels so quickly and it's so easy to get our hands on this info that now they're just coming right out and they're just admitting that, hey, we'll do whatever we want to. If we want to lock you away and throw away the key and have a military tribunal and not let it be a public trial or anything like that, we'll just call you something different. You're not a person, you're an enemy combatant, and voila, you now are subject to our whims.
There are two things that come to mind. The first is anyone who's read the book Animal Farm by George Orwell. Animal Farm is essentially an allegory to the Bolshevik Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
There are three leaders in it, just like there were three leaders in the original Soviet Revolution: Lenin, Stalin, and Trotsky. One of the leaders, they're animals. They revolt against the farmer. One of the leaders is tossed out. Okay, and that's a Snowball is the character. Right. Snowball tossed out. The other two are like Lenin and Stalin, and they end up they're pigs. they end up, because they're the smart ones, they end up writing these rules like a constitution. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, that sort of thing. And they put them up on the side of the barn, on this red barn, right? By the end of the book, the pigs have taken advantage of the system that they've created, the governmental system that they've created in revolution against tyranny, and they have rewritten the rules. It's now 4 legs good, 2 legs better, and the pigs come walking out on their hind legs. They've trained themselves to walk. So now they're carrying guns. So if you look at what the United States government does through the judicial system, they are the pigs. They are the marching pigs. That's exactly what they're doing. They're rewriting these things with rulings. They don't have to reword the Constitution, and the Constitution can't stop them. This is what the Anti-Federalists warned against. This is exactly what we're trying to express to people. You've got to get over this idea that the salvation of your lives will be the U.S. Constitution. Sure, you might be able to pare things down and get into a more competing federalist system, and hey, that might be satisfactory for a while. But let me tell you, when George Washington was president, he broke the Constitution right off the bat by marching on the Whiskey Rebellion. He brought an army as big as the Army of the Potomac down into western Pennsylvania to crush people who were just selling whiskey they made themselves because the United States government wanted to tax it.
So we come back to where you were, the question you were asking before about people and what they're going to do, right? I mean, are they just going to, they passed the healthcare thing.
I'm just sitting here, it's so much fun to come in with you, and yet at the same time, Ian, I'm getting so agitated. It gets me so ticked off.
Sorry.
Because, like you guys have come to New Hampshire, and for all my stinking life, I've had to sit through numbskull teachers, stupid politicians coming through my town, shaking people's hands. You got to count your fingers after you shake hands with these jerks to see if they haven't stolen them. And, by the way, that's a line I lifted from David Eddings from Sparhawk books. But, it's just I'm sorry, I'm honest. I guess I can never run for politics. But it disgusts me. And yet we see people, what are they going to do? What the heck are they going to do?
We had somebody call our Saturday show this weekend who was, because I'd mentioned the idea of civil disobedience during the show. I just love slipping that idea in as often as possible.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mentioned it, and he calls in to say, we need mass civil disobedience. This healthcare thing is going too far, and mass civil disobedience. I said, all right, what are you going to do about it? And he says, well, I said, are you going to not pay taxes? Yeah, I'm not going to pay taxes. I said, great, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, well, what if the whole government health care proposal just gets wiped off the table? It's gone. It's no longer being considered. What if it's no longer being considered? You're just going to go back to your life? He said, I think I'll just go back to my life. And I said, so the multi-trillion-dollar federal government, all the government programs, all the things that they've done to you, that's not enough to make you want to do civil disobedience. It's just this one thing.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. Yeah,
I mean, am I being too condescending towards that particular mindset?
No.
Because I feel like I'm being a little condescending here. Why is it now, all of a sudden, that the government is, it's gone too far? Well, wait a minute. It's only another $1 trillion, right?
Exactly.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
It's insane. I mean, they should have. It went too far when Washington marched on the Whiskey Rebellions. Yeah. It went too far when Hamilton tried to create the central bank. It went too far when Lincoln suspended habeas corpus himself, which is what Congress can only do that. It went too far.
Well, these people can't think past 2001.
It went too far when even though they had a declared war, they imprisoned Japanese Americans under FDR. It went too far with the highway system. It went too far with Social Security. It went too stinking far. When are people going to realize that if they go any further, they're falling off the proverbial cliff?
Great question. 800-259